On today's video, I bought a 2007 Mini Cooper S Sidewalk Edition with 101,000 miles. We'll talk about what is a Sidewalk Edition, the pros and cons, my overall impressions, what to look out for. We take it to the shop. I do my little fancy car wash. And then I reach out to 3 owners that bought cars from me and ask them about their experiences. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Mike the Baldadonis. I buy and sell cars as a hobby, and I bring you guys along with me, showing you the pros and cons of each vehicle I buy. I do travel videos throughout New England, and I talk about my life experiences. All right guys, so I have a lot to talk about. A lot. I did a lot of video clips. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. It's gonna be kind of lengthy. It's gonna be kind of long, okay? Anyways, this is my 13th Mini Cooper S. I love these cars. It's a love-hate relationship. We'll get into that in a little bit. And, well, I was on Craigslist. I seen the ad pop up, and the owner said it had 100,000 miles on it. It had a brand new power top motor, rear brake lines, brake pads, calipers, refurbished wheels, brand new Michelin tires, a clutch sleeve, and a 15% pulley, which brings up the horsepower from 168 to about 180. So we're gonna take it to the shop and see if it needs anything, so let's take a look. All right, so what is a Sidewalk Edition? Well, they only made them for 2 years, and they're only in convertible. 2007, 2008, still R52 supercharged engine. These come in a variety of colors. I think there may be just 3. I'm not exactly sure, but I love my color. It is Astro Black Metallic. It comes with the English leather. The Knight spoke wheels are lightweight. They may not look it, but they're very light. So now that I have it back from the shop, it's time for a detail. So let's take a look. All right, so let's talk about some of the things that it may need, okay? One, they are expensive to fix if you take it to a repair shop, so find a friend that knows how to work on a car. If you know how to work on a car, you're gonna save yourself a lot of money. Cylinder heads are known to go on these. Unfortunately for me, last year it happened to me. $500 cylinder head, $500 gasket, another $600 to put it in, okay? Timing chain tensioners can and will fail because BMW decided we should do our oil changes every 10,000 miles. That's a no-go. Change your oil every 4,000 to 5,000 miles and your timing chain guys will be very happy. Timing chain tensioners, they're on the back of the cylinder head. Those will start making a little noise and you can change that. That's not a big deal. So you have your usual coolant issues just like any other car, the water pump, thermostat. Thermostat itself is expensive. I think the part alone is $175. Power steering pump. Well, those are electric and if they go, they can be pricey. And you also have a fan that will go on them as well. The fan is cheap. The fan just blows that power steering pump to keep it cool. Valve cover gasket, that's normal. The starter, if this needs a starter, the whole front end has to come off and that's a bitch. Serpentine belt tensioner, that's normal. Motor mounts, that's normal. And you may get power steering leaks. The 2005 and up R52, R53s come with a updated John Cooper Works supercharger. The older ones, They had a shitty supercharger with bad Teflon on the rotors, and they blew up. These are much stronger, and from what I understand, you don't have to change the oil as often as the older ones, so you should be good with that. Other leaks: crankshaft positioner, sensor, oil pan. Anything that has a fluid may leak, okay? So with the oil dipstick on these, they become fragile or frail or whatever you want to call it. They end up breaking sometimes, so they do have replacements. So look out for the replacements, they're much better. These have a heavy clutch. They are a dual mass flywheel, so some people just blow these things up. I've seen 40,000, 50,000 miles need a new clutch. They're just very heavy, and that's something you have to get used to. Shifter cables. They bind up, and they can be a pain to change as well. Suspension. Not a big deal on these cars, your usual wear and tear. The rear springs do crack, so keep an eye out on that. Brake lines, they're very thin, they corrode. That's something that you'd be replacing. Typical rust on these cars can be, and usually are, underneath the taillight, on the rear hatch. I haven't seen too many other spots, but I think that's the main culprit, is in the back. Convertible top, rear moldings, they're on the back, they're chrome and rubber, they break down, they break off. They're expensive. They're $250 per side, okay? But other than that, they do hold up, rain doesn't get in. It's more of an eyesore just looking at them. Okay, so I made a separate video a couple of years ago talking about the 2005 and up R52, R53s. There's over 200 improvements and upgrades. If you want to check that out, I'll leave a link in the description. All right, before we get to the pros and cons, when I was doing this video, I happened to see the strut mounts on the passenger side. It was torn, so we're gonna take it back to the shop, have that replaced. So let's take a look. right, so let's talk about some of the pros and cons and my overall impressions. Pros: being tall, 6'4", lots of leg room, lots of headroom. These seats drop all the way to the floor, so much room. Fun to drive, very quick. Leave this thing in second and third gear, take it down a windy road, rev that thing out, and have fun, very quick. Great in the snow. They handle amazing. The convertible top is fun too because you can just open up so much and leave it as a sunroof. The stereo system cranks. All right, let's get to the cons. Pricey if you take it to a garage. It can get some of those rust spots like I mentioned earlier. Here's a biggie. The convertible top up, huge blind spots in the back. You can't see nothing when you're backing up. It does have a heavy clutch. Being a convertible, it does have some body shake, but it's not terrible. You can tighten that up with some bracing, so it's cheap enough, so look into it. When you're on the highway and you have the windows down, because you are sitting so low, you hear all the tires from other vehicles, especially trucks. It's annoying, you gotta put that window back up. Now speaking of that window, because it's so big, the sun hits you, and if you're wearing just a t-shirt, you're getting baked. Last but not least, in my opinion, is people get up your ass for no reason whatsoever. They get right up your ass, you cannot even see the headlights. The mirrors are so close in proximity that you can see the car in both mirrors, and it can be a little stressful. Sometimes I find that to be true, and I'm like, why are you people up my ass? I don't get it. They just stay up your ass. I just don't get that. Okay guys, so this is the fun part of the video. I reached out to 3 people that actually bought Mini Coopers from me in the past. One person, 3 years ago, picked up this gorgeous 2005 Mini Cooper red, 6-speed. I sold it with around 155,000 miles. I bought that from the original owner. He had every piece of paper from day one. It was a great example, and these people have put 5,000 miles on it. It's just a toy. I reached out and I said, hey, what have you done since you bought it? So here it goes. Haven't done much. Replaced the brake lines right away after we got it. Somebody backed into them, got into a little fender bender, and had the bumper and the hood repainted. Replaced the headlight bulbs and ballast in the coolant reservoir. I wasn't paying attention to the coolant levels and it got low and was overheating. Fan was coming on. Not sure if there's a small leak internally, but just watching it now. Add a little coolant every so often, but I think we put 5,000 miles on the car. I said, all right, great. I know he did something else, and I reached out and he said they did a power steering line. But I know the wife loved this car. It was mostly for her. All right, next on the list, I bought this car, over 4 years ago. It was a young kid, about 19 years old, him and his uncle. We built the motor, new clutch, went through it. I think it's a 2002. I'm gonna show it right now. The gentleman that bought it for me, he works nights. He actually lives maybe 30 minutes away, and trying to get him involved in the video was like pulling teeth. The time he woke up, went to work, can you do it on a Sunday? It was just always something going on. But he didn't have any problems until last fall. Okay, so 4 years of driving it, not a problem, just oil changes. Then he self-diagnosed his issue with the car starting. So he assumed it was just a starter. Bought a starter, brought it to one of my friend's shop. They were gonna charge him, I think, $500 to put it in. He said no. He asked me where he can go. I recommended somebody else that can do a side job. Unfortunately, this person is an alcoholic and just couldn't work on the car, unfortunately. And he left it at his job. The person that owns the car said to the owner of that repair shop, can you fix it? Yeah, we can fix it. Put the starter in, it wasn't the starter. So the guy bought a starter for no reason. They were upset because they didn't know what was wrong. They don't work on Mini Coopers. And when they were pushing the car out, they damaged the wheels and the lower spoiler. Then the guy's calling me, bitching at me. I'm like, I don't know what to tell you. You let that guy fix the car. So then he brought it to a proper BMW Mini Cooper shop. Ended up costing him over $2,200 in repairs. All I needed was the DME. I believe that's the computer that lets the ignition and the starter all work at the same time to start the car. And then he was on his way. But that was an issue. I think that's the reason why he didn't get on the video, because he might have been embarrassed. So the third person is my friend Sean. He bought my headache Mini Cooper S from last year. I spent thousands of dollars on it. The previous owner spent $6,500 in repairs in the short time that he had it. And unfortunately, some Mini Coopers are just like that. They're just a headache, unfortunately. It did have 150,000 miles on this one as well. And it being a Boston car, it sat out a lot. So, you know, and not being driven, it just had one issue after another and after another. I fixed everything that I could, and then Sean put another $1,300 into it. So he's gonna talk a little bit about it, so let's take a look.
Hey, my name's Sean. I'm here today because Mr. Baldadonis has asked me to see what I think of his new Mini Cooper. Last August, I purchased the Money Pit Mini from Mr. Baldadonis. Mistake on my part, I guess, a little bit, but it was good because it's what helped us become friends. I can see in there's a new belt tensioner and probably a new belt, a new idler. Those were all things that I had to do to my Mini after I had purchased it from you. One of the big problems that I had discovered was the crank pulley was starting to fail, which is kind of a common thing with this year or this generation of the Mini. The crank pulley has a rubber isolator in it that over time hardens, fails. You might even start to chew up your timing cover if that fails. And I was starting to hear some weird noises when it ran, when I put my foot on it. So I took a closer investigation and realized that that crank pulley was on its way out. So along with the crank pulley and the belt on my Mini, I also had to replace the caliper in the rear. I think Mike had already replaced the driver's side caliper. I ended up replacing the passenger side rear caliper. A few other things I had to do were the battery, the starter, and the ignition switch on mine. So after I purchased it from you, the tag or moniker Money Pit definitely still held true with that Mini. You know, I think I put another $1,300 into it after I purchased it from you, Mike. The Mini Cooper was really, it was a car I had always wanted, and it wasn't a need to have car, but it was a car that I'd always just wanted the experience of owning and driving. And it was really great to have that because these are just such fun cars to drive. If you've never driven one before, especially this model year, you know, the R52s, R53s, the supercharged versions, they're just so delightful to drive. They're so responsive on the throttle with the supercharger, and they handle so well like a go-kart. You know, a lot of people will say the go-kart like handling, and I even think Mini totes that as part of their, you know, their ad campaign for the cars when they sell them, the go-kart like handling, and it's very, very true. So a few of the cons and things I didn't like about the Mini that I had mostly revolve around working on it. The whole front end of the car is just so very tight and compact. Just by looking at it, you can see how smushed in everything is. So that makes accessing anything in the engine very difficult to do. They even have a mode which is called front end service mode for this, which entails pulling off the whole front bumper of the car, pulling off the radiator, the AC condenser, just to get at the front side of the engine and the few things that are up there. And it's quite a bit of work to do it.
so I hope you guys enjoyed the video. It was a little lengthy, and hope there was some good information for some people. And I have upcoming videos, my 2007 M6 convertible. I keep saying that, it's got to get done. I just bought a 2009 Toyota Camry 2.4, 221,000 miles from the original owner, so we'll be talking about that. I do my travel videos throughout New England, and I still have some videos coming up about my blood clots that are leading to other health issues. Maybe I'm doing more tests. I'll do that video when the time comes. So until the next video, everybody, Baldadonis out.